Hey there, fellow blacksmiths. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to ASKA, Episode 12, Entering the Iron Age. I'm going to co-opt the goal now. Build metalworking and make a batch of iron. So metalworking is... Actually, this terraforming might be in the way. I'm just going to hit the most raised squares to get it flat. Metalworking is an extension off of a crafter hut to allow you to make metal tools. And I was planning on having my metalworker be here. It doesn't... what's a little odd is it doesn't face my bloomery, but I don't care. So there's the metalworker. And the way this works is you stick your metal in the furnace. I might only be able to smelt 4 out of these 5 chunks. And then you stick your fuel into the furnace. You'll light the furnace, and then you use the bellows to keep your fuel heated. One big tip is that having some sort of stamina buff while you're doing this process will make keeping your fuel usage to a minimum. So I'm going to eat berry jam. Oh, oops. Right before I start the metalworking. Plus, I still have the sleeping bonus that I had from before. So let's light this up and make a batch of iron. So initially, you're going to do long presses to raise the temperature up. And I'll show you the technique I found best to use fuel efficiently, is to try to get to the upper end of the temperature threshold. You need to have it between both notches where it's not too cold, not too hot, you know, the Goldilocks zone. Once you get up to the upper temperatures, to then feather the bellows to try to keep it as hot as possible, as close to the upper limit there, without actually going over the upper limit. But that requires a lot of stamina, which is why having stamina regen is so useful here. And then just keep touching E quickly to try to have it be as hot as possible. And that will allow you to smelt the most amount of metal with the least amount of fuel I've found, personally. I might be wrong, but this is personal observations. And then once all 5 of the pieces convert from or over, we walk up to the furnace and extinguish it, and then hit T to move the block over to the anvil. And this is the part that NPCs often do wrong, which is why I like to do it as a player. Then we're hitting the slag off of the block with the hammer. And we have to deslag all 6 sides before we're actually given iron ore. My only worry here is my hammer is not in very good condition, so I actually might break it and have to like rush to make a new one. If you don't do it within the time allotted, you end up with nothing. You end up like screwing up your batch. And the time allotted is the yellow bar that you see right below wood anvil. And as your blacksmithing levels up, you become a lot faster at doing this process. So I already have done 4 of the 6 phases, so I'm probably all set to get this batch done, no problem. The more metal you do in one bloom batch, the more bloom you get. Which I'll show you in a moment. And we're done. So then, all 5 I got, I end up with 5 iron blooms. So if you only convert 1 metal, when you hit the block, you only get 1 bloom. So doing as large of a batch as possible is ideal. You want to do as many as you can. And I have found that, like, on the level 1 furnace, 5 is about as good as it gets, because if I tried for 6, I might run out of fuel and not be able to actually cook all 6. So for me to make my first batch, I need to get the metalworker up. So that is my next goal. We need rope. Bark, stones, you know, all that jazz. Alright, the constructors will be able to supply the logs, no problem, because it's right next to the warehouse. So I'll work on sticks and stones. And this is where, like, roads are really helpful, because it will reduce the amount of stamina needing to run with heavy objects. So at some point I'll take a moment to, like, really pave everything between important points of interest that get frequented. And iron tools are so much better than stone ones. So it's a huge productivity increase. That, and in the case of pickaxes, you can actually start harvesting iron nodes rather than stone nodes that have iron in it. And in the case of axes, you can start harvesting birch for hardwood, which is a requirement for carpentry. Oh, they beat me to it. Just gonna drop that there because I'm lazy. The woodcutters that became builders, I'm gonna have back as woodcutters. So Unexpected is gonna become a woodcutter again. And Ink. No, get over here. That's mine. I fired him as a builder, and he was about to walk it back. Like, dibs! Alright, here's the metalworker. And here's how this works. So we walk over to the iron blooms that we've made. And for now, I only really need 4 of them, but I'll take all 5, because there's storage over here for it as well. I need some charcoal. Probably only 2 pieces, but you take them 5 at a time, that's fine. Add fuel to the forge, and the forge heats up the iron blooms. I'm definitely going to want a new hammer, because my hammer's about to break. And, well, broken hammers don't make tools. Where is sticks? Just break a flimsy torch for a stick. Cheers. And then, now that I have the tools ready, we ignite the forge. Well, let's stick the 1, 2, 3, 4. Open the forge, stick the blooms in. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do 5. Do all 5. Ignite the forge. Heat up the blooms so that they become workable. And then we'll craft stuff on the anvil here. So I'm going to be making a small iron axe head with 4 blooms, and then 5 iron nails with 1 bloom. That's my first batch. An axe and nails. Nails are just like general high-tier building materials, and an axe head is a much better... It's actually a really good weapon, too. So it's a one-hander axe that can cut down birch trees and is pretty good in combat. Alright, so here it is. Here's the axe head. And unlike the iron bloom, there's only 4 sides to this. So we have to hammer all 4 sides, clearing it of slag, and then quench it on the left. Oh, hold on. There we go. I added water to the quenching trough. There is a better hammer, yes. There's better tools for everything. So there's metal hammers and metal axes, metal weapons. So there's the axe head, and then the last one is the nails. And now that I can turn the forge off because we don't need it coal burning for no reason. So for the bloomery, you can't actually take the blooms out until you extinguish it. But for the forge, it can just burn down all the coal, so remember to extinguish it so you conserve fuel. And as you can see, my blacksmithing skill is flying up. I barely made anything and I'm already level 7. Blacksmithing is really easy to level up, whereas crafting is less so. Alright, then I have the, I would need to get a little bit more water for the quenching bucket, but I have the brand new axe head and nails. And with that, I could take them. The nails I'll just stick into the general storage here for later. But the axe head, I can make a crude iron axe. So I'm going to take my old axe, both of them, I forgot I had 2, and throw them away, or rather store them for someone else to use. And now I have, wait, where'd my crude iron axe go? Am I holding it? Oh, I'm holding it. It's literally in my hand. Good job, mate. Crude iron axe. There it is. And this thing is able to cut down birch trees. So if we take a look at the next task here of building a carpenter, the carpenter requires hardwood long sticks and hardwood logs, which will be laid out here. And the reason I laid this out like so is the horses for the carpenter line up basically immediately adjacent to the log storage, right? So that we can take logs and stick it on the carpentry, and there's enough space for like a road here if we really need one. Plus a road all the way up this stretch, which I can add. But there you have it. That is the ins and outs of iron tools. So I'll just show you. There's 2 trees over here that I particularly wanted to cut down because they were really in the way. So I'll do those first, and then with the remaining time, I might make myself a little bit, a few more metal tools. So finally, getting hardwood. And birch works very much the same way as fir, where the long ones, the thin ones, give you the long sticks. So this gave 1 log and 3 long sticks, and then the thicker trunked ones will give you more logs. Is there a max level? I don't know. In my playtesting, I got up to like close to 100, but I don't know if I ever passed 100. So now that that stretch that was not flattened can finally be flattened because I got rid of the trees. So the current priority right now is make metal tools. And if we take a look at the... So some of the metal tools that I can make, it's important to note, require carpentry. So, for instance, the large crude iron axe requires wood shafts, which is made by carpentry. There's a bit of a tooltip issue here. Same with the pick. But the metal tools that I can make now, so the better hammer, for instance, requires carpentry. I can make a draw knife, which is a needed component for carpentry because you really can't remove the bark, debark things for carpentry without a draw knife. So the things that I want to make for next would be a draw knife for 2 for carpentry, maybe some skinning knives for our hunter. There's also swords. So there's a whole new class. Up until now, we were just using tools as weapons. There are also weapons as weapons. So the small iron axe head that I just made for my woodcutter axe can also become a battle axe, which would be good for town defense. There's also shields, which are iron plates and nails, as well as some carpentry materials. So once you have the metalworker and the carpenter up, the options really start to expand, where you can make a whole bunch of different weapons of war. And I will at some point focus on trying to smooth out the terrain here. I'm just not going to worry about that right now. It's back into the mining caves. I'd also advise, don't turn too many of the large stones you get from the mining caves into small stones, even if you're trying to do road making. Because small stones you can run over land with relatively easily, whereas large stones suck to move long distance. So leave the large stones alone, because you will use them. Come on, I'm hitting the cracks. Whatever. Brute force my way. Is there a reason I'm at half health? I haven't healed. Alright, so I've got 8 iron on me. That's enough for a batch and a third, or a 3/5. I'll try for 6 in a batch, but I have my reservations about whether I'll be able to do it or not. The other thing is, if I'm attempting that, I ought to steal someone's bed briefly. So that I have a stamina regen passive. This is my bed now. And in the winter, the fireplace that's in the cottage can be lit to keep the people that are sleeping warm and to replenish their body heat needs. Oh, come on! I was laying down long enough for the stamina bonus. Oh, okay. It's, I think, a tooltip issue. Yeah, whatever. Good enough. Are there higher quality beds that give you a better buff? The chieftain's cabin has the bed that's best for the player to use. But no, like all beds are made of thatch. But the chieftain bed has like a special bonus that the other beds do not confer. This isn't going very well. Come on. There we go. I might have used too much fuel up. I don't think we're going to be able to do all 6. We'll see. Maybe. Maybe. You can see why I did 5 the first batch. Yep, we got 5 done. So there will be a undone iron ore in here. And we used 3 more fuel than last batch and ended up with the same amount. So I should be... I should just do batches of 5. No, it didn't ruin it. It just didn't finish the entire process. So it's not that this batch is ruined, it's just one is unprocessed and we burned more fuel than we needed. The tier 1 bloomery, 5 tends to be the sweet spot, and the tier 2 bloomery, I think 8 seems to be the sweet spot. The bloomery does get upgraded and allow you to do bigger batches. So a draw knife is a required tool for carpentry, much like a rake is a required tool for farming. So without a draw knife, you won't be able to do any of the carpentry projects. There we go, 5. That's pretty good. What am I even making? If I'm making a draw knife is 3 hot iron blooms. Meaning I'll have 2 left, so I'm just going to put the other 2 away. I'm just going to do 1 draw knife right now. And then we have 3 of the 5 needed for the next batch. So there's only 2 tools that you can make before you have carpentry, which is like the draw knife, or 3 tools: the draw knife, the skinning knife, and the wood cutting axe. Everything else requires components derived from carpentry, wooden shafts and the like. Which... So this knife blade can be turned into a skinning knife or a draw knife. In this case, I'm going to be making a draw knife. So I need 2 rope, 1 stick. There. And the draw knife allows you to debark logs and long sticks to make beams, posts, shafts, etc. If I want my woodcutters to start cutting birch and, well, hardwood in general automatically, we would need to upgrade the woodcutter's hut. So one of the reasons why I haven't issued woodcutter tools to the other woodcutters is just that I haven't actually upgraded the woodcutter's hut, because I don't really want the top tier woodcutter's hut physically there. I want it closer to carpentry. So, not this stream, because I'm just about out of time, but next stream I'll be building a tier 3 woodcutter's hut, but putting it, you know, where it should be. But what I can do, in order to get the carpenter up, is to cut some of these down myself to supply the material to get the carpentry up. So that's my last priority. How many iron blooms for a hammer? It requires carpentry. It's not about the blooms. A hammer head requires 4, but it also requires a shaft, which only comes from carpentry. So the only tool that I don't have that it could make right now would be the skinning knife, but I don't really need a metal skinning knife. They're not that important. They're not important for the player to have unless you're doing a lot of your own hunting. Which I happen not to be, because we have an employed hunter. So I can be lazy. But the carpentry is unlocks like a lot of what remains, like longhouses, cooking houses, improve farms, improve workshops, improve bloomer. Like everything is carpentry from here on out. It's sort of the final tier. So once we have the carpenter, we'll be able to start upgrading all the buildings that we have left. Now, cottages don't get upgraded to longhouses, but almost all the other gathering and stuff like that do get upgraded to tier 2 or tier 3, which requires carpentry. That's going to be like that, huh? No problem. Pathmaker. Alright, all that's left is to move the stones in place, and then we'll have carpentry. And that is just about all of the remaining unlocks left to grab. I wonder if my builders are actually helping. I don't feel helped right now. I think they're on leisure at the moment. That's another thing you could do with scheduling, is to make sure it's especially important for guards that and then somewhat important for like cooks, because if your cook's sleeping and you run out of food, then no one eats, or they start eating raw materials, which is far less efficient. But for guards to be on patrol, if you want to actually protect your village, make sure they work in shifts so there's always someone on shift, is a pretty important thing to do. Shinox, thank you for the resub. I don't know what my woodcutters... Oh, they're probably collecting stuff. That makes sense. The other thing I need to do is to go over to the warehouse and the empty racks for hardwood to issue orders for collection there, because I hadn't done that. So these two, truth be told, these two probably should not even be the softwood. They should be hardwood, which I'll switch them around. Oh no, they already done that. Because I don't actually want to collect regular logs here. I want the hardwood versions. Okay, they're moving stones. You're moving one, I'm moving one. Oh, we're gonna attack by bear. Okay. Bear attack. Incoming. Bears are, pretty burly. And I'm kind of wounded. So, not ideal, but do what we can. So the bear is coming from the west. And best piece of advice I could offer you is safety in numbers. Oh, my bear's over here. Don't break my coal maker. I just built it. Come on, idiot. Oh, not one of the terrain holes. What a time to get stuck in terrain. Yo, town guard. Town guard. Hello. Yes, it feels like we need more protection because you're standing around. Y'all not helping at all. Oh, there they go. Come on. Yep, pay attention to me. Don't pay attention to the dozens behind you. Bear's leaving the village? I think not. Get back here. I might be injured, but get back here. Okay. We ran it off. That's what counts. More importantly, nothing got actually destroyed. We didn't lose buildings, because if you lose buildings, you basically lose just about all the resources that were invested in said building, and that sucks bad. I would say that despite that you hadn't voted on it, I am probably going to need a healer's hut. Like, you know, soonish. So I'm going to stick a healer's hut. Here. But I did want to demo carpentry. What happens if you die? So if you die, you can respawn without your stuff, or you can take the soul of another villager and respawn with your stuff. Would be the TLDR. But I wanted to show a little bit of carpentry initially. So now that we have the carpenter, a lot of the materials that are going to be required are going to be beams and posts and the like. So you take, there's 4 different types. You can take hardwood. I thought I picked up hardwood. You can pick up hardwood and cut the hardwood thin logs into shafts. And that is primarily used for high quality tools. So now I have 2 shafts. And these shafts are requirement for the pickaxes, a requirement for the hoes, requirement for the hammers, requirement for the larger pickaxes, requirement for the 2-hander axes, requirements for the shovels, so on and so forth. You get the point. So those are really important. Likewise, you can take one of these and debark it into a post. Using the draw knife. And this process gets so much faster at higher level carpentry. And carpentry is relatively easy to level up. I'm already level 2 now. Where you can, it's like one strip bark per side, and you're just done near instantly. It's great. And then likewise, the logs become there's two different types of hardwood logs. So the carpenter exclusively uses hardwood, which is why I thought I was putting hardwood storage over there, but for whatever reason my porter filled it with softwoods. And posts are going to be one of the main building materials of the higher level buildings. And you can store your shafts here, your posts here, your logs down there, and then your planks and posts there. So I'll build a hardwood plank and a hardwood post. And if you're wondering about that thump thump, it's just I'm on the verge of death, so I'm like listening to me dying or something. But I don't care. I've ignored that. I have a healing hut that's getting built right now. I'll use it once they're done building it. The way the healing hut works, getting ahead of myself a little bit, is laying in the bed when the fire in the middle of the healing hut is lit heals you kind of quickly, but then employing someone to work the healing hut, they will walk over and they'll physically heal you, and it's much faster. Yeah, it's just my death rattle noises, because I almost died fighting off the bear. It's too bad we didn't... It's too bad I was injured ahead of time, because I probably could have killed the bear. And the bear's hide is pretty valuable. So if you stick this on the buck, you chop it up with an axe. So carpenters require a draw knife and an axe to work the carpentry. And eventually I'll make tools for the carpenter to use. But, you've got planks. So one log makes 2 planks, and then the last carpentry piece is posts. So those are the 4 types of things you can put on a carpenter. And as I was mentioning before... Oh, you. Give me that. I was mentioning before, everything that you build from here on out is going to require an immense amount of planks, posts, and shafts and the like. Which means carpentry is like the highest priority industry in your village by far, just from the volume of work that needs to be done. So you should probably have, 2 carpenters working in shifts. So there's always like at least 1 carpenter on duty, and to make sure that the porters are moving logs for the carpenter, and the builders are like pulling the supplied carpentry projects quickly, because there's a very limited amount of space in the carpentry building itself to actually store posts and planks. So make sure that you have storage for posts and planks in your warehouse, so on and so forth. But here is the beam, and we can put that aside. So as you can see, this fills up pretty quickly, which is why it's really important to have plenty of space. But that is the TLDR of carpentry. And I think I'm going to go a wee bit over time, just so that I don't screw my future self, and actually build the healing hut. So I'm not, like, loading in next stream where, like, I'm basically just a corpse with an axe. And yeah, my health bar is not going to move until I do something about it. Until I rest in a bed for a long time or use a healing hut. But the healing hut is very fast when staffed. Looks like my my woodcutters don't even have the tools anymore. Because I've been doing all the management, I've been doing all the micromanagement myself. I haven't been doing the macro management of making sure that my craftsmen have the things they need, which is honestly just my fault, but it is fast. So if you choose to die without your gear, you can go back to where you die and retrieve your gear. So as I mentioned before, when you die, there's 2 choices. There is the spawn without your gear, spawn with your gear, and if you spawn without your gear, you can return to your place of death and get your gear back. So the death penalty in this game isn't very extreme, in other words, unless you die somewhere that the spot sucks. like somewhere very dangerous. Then you might want to consume a villager's soul to spawn with your gear. Because if you die in, like, a super sketchy area that is surrounded by enemies, like during a boss fight, let's say, it's going to be very challenging to retrieve your gear in the middle of a boss fight. Your skill levels do go down, yes. True. You will lose some of your skill if you die without consuming villager soul. But villager souls are, I don't want to say they're not important, but, like, you can recoup them pretty easily. But, regardless, I do want to heal myself so that I'm not faced with that decision, which is why I'm building the healer's hut. The other thing that you could do, and I didn't mention this before, but just play with like a whole bunch of onions on your hotbar, because eating onions, you can just shove onions into your face really fast, and it will heal you a lot very quickly. So if you're trying to avoid death, you can go, you know, cabbage and cheese wheel Skyrim meta by using onions instead, and just shove your face full of onions. And it even works if you're like knocked down by enemies. So like if the bear knocks me over, I can like shove a bunch of onions in my face to stay alive. So effectively, you can become the Onion Knight, I guess. Garlic works too. Garlic is less healing than onions, but it's healing over time, and onions is more healing and it's instant. They both work. You know, if I had to pick one, I'd pick onions though, because generally when you're injured, you want to heal now, not slow, but immediate. Hence my preference for onions. But garlic's good too. And with that said, I could go over here and if there's garlic, there's no garlic soup. Well, let's make some garlic soup. Actually, in fact, let's make some garlic stew, which is more powerful than soup. As a other method to heal. So the way the healing hut works, as I said, if you light the place in the middle, there's 4 spots to lay down, and you heal slowly. But if you assign someone to the workplace, assign a witch doctor to the healing hut, they will walk over, smack you in the face with, like, sage, and heal you very fast. So, Sapo, you're temporarily going to become a witch doctor for me. Oh, and let me go get my garlic jam. So here's the the benefit of the garlic jam. No, don't take it! Give me my jam back. That's not your jam. So hear me eating garlic jam to heal quick. Alright, where's my witch doctor? Help me, doc. There you are. Oh, you're gonna beat me with sage. This looks dirty. And as you can see, my health is going up way fast. The healing hut is a very effective way to beat around the bush. Normally they walk up to your face and they hit you in the face. And this time, I guess they're choosing somewhere else. But yep, that is the effectiveness of a healing hut. It's very nice. And stonecutter, Sapo. Obviously, you don't need someone hired there full-time. Like, that'd be a complete waste. But, that is how to use a healer's hut, and now I'm fit as a fiddle. And full of garlic jam. So this, friends, is where I'm going to leave off, having built the healer's hut, expanded the village, built another cottage, built a warehouse, built another workshop, built a metalworker, and a carpentry, and a bloomery, and a charcoal maker, and made a complete mess of the terrain, built a miner's hut, and built a leatherworker. And a cook, and a hunter. God, I did a lot. It didn't feel like a lot, but boy, it was a lot. And this is where I'm going to leave off for this week. Thank you for tuning in to ASKA, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you would like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. A special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow Vikings.